So you have a high blood sugar. What do we do now? Well, let's fix it. Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Hildebrand. I am a type 1 diabetic as of February 18th, 2021, and I have had my fair share of high blood sugars. It's not a fun thing to go through, but it happens to all of us. No matter how hard you try, you're gonna get a high blood sugar above 140 one of these days, maybe every single day. It's hard to keep our blood sugar under 140 when you live with type 1 diabetes. So if you are new to type 1 diabetes, if you have a family member that's new to type 1 diabetes and you keep having high blood sugars, what can we do to bring it down? Well, there are a few things we can do, so let's get into it. The first thing you can do to lower your blood sugar is take more insulin. Now, some of you may not be on insulin. If you're a type 1 diabetic, you probably have insulin as a solution. If you live with type 2 diabetes, you may not have insulin as a solution. But if you do, I recommend taking more insulin. Now, there is a caveat here. You have to be careful with insulin because if you take a lot of it, you will eventually drop fast and it can get dangerous. So you do have to be careful with how much you're taking, when you're taking it, and all that sort of thing. However, if your blood sugar is pretty high and it just keeps going higher and higher and higher, you can always take more insulin. So we can thank, the gods out there that we even have insulin, and that is a solution that when our blood sugar is high, we can take insulin to bring it back down. Now, if you are on an insulin pump, you may have a setting that automatically can help bring down your blood sugar for you, which is absolutely amazing. I am on multiple daily injections, and so I personally have to manually take insulin, which is a challenge sometimes. For example, when it's overnight and I'm sleeping and my blood sugar decides to go high. Well, this actually happened to me the other day. My Dexcom decided not to alert me when my blood sugar went over 180, and I was sitting at like 220 for like 4 hours in the middle of the night, and I had no idea. So that was not fun. But if you're on a pump, hopefully your pump will, gradually start giving you a little bit more insulin so that you eventually come back down in a slow manner. So insulin is such a great way to bring down a high blood sugar. Now, that is what normal bodies do, right? When they have a little bit of a high blood sugar, their body is giving them insulin and it's bringing it back down to normal range. Unfortunately, just because we live with type 1 diabetes, our pancreas has decided to give up on us. We have to manually take it. Now, thankfully, once again, for pumps, it adds a little bit of automatic solution for that. However, it's still a manual process in terms of us compared to a normal person. So if you have a high blood sugar, you can always take more insulin. But one thing I want to mention with this too is if you took a lot of insulin, maybe for your dinner, let's say, and your blood sugar is going up quickly, you may not want to take insulin to bring it down because your insulin is still working, right? So if you just recently took insulin stays in your body for a few hours. It all depends on what type of insulin you're taking, but it will stay in your body for a few hours. So it could still be working and it could still be bringing your blood sugar down. But I think over time you start to learn that, okay, my blood sugar is going pretty high, pretty fast. I don't think the amount of insulin that I took for dinner is going to work. So you can give yourself more. And that just comes with time, learning that sort of thing. But there might be times when you're like, I did take a lot of insulin and I think the insulin that I've already taken is going to work and it will eventually come back down. So that's just something you're going to learn over time, which is annoying, I know, but just remember that you have insulin for a reason. And if you have a high blood sugar, that is one way to bring it back down. The second way to bring down your blood sugar if you have a high blood sugar is movement. Okay, you got to move. And the reason I say this is, a couple reasons. If you have insulin on board, movement will help kick that insulin in faster. So we all know that when you take insulin, it doesn't work like within seconds, right? It can take 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on what type of insulin you take, which is always annoying. But if you move after taking that insulin, it will help it kick in faster. And so what I like to do is if I have a high blood sugar, I'll take a little bit of insulin, nothing crazy, but then I'll go for maybe a 10-15 minute walk. And then I will start to see my blood sugar gradually start to go down. So that is just a great way to lower a blood sugar is movement. Even if you said, hey, I don't take insulin, or if you say, hey, I don't want to take any more insulin, I already took some before dinner, just move, right? You don't have to take insulin first necessarily to get your blood sugar to come down. Once again, I think that's just like a thing you learn over time is like, should I take more insulin? You'll know based on what you're eating and how high your blood sugar is going and how fast it's going if you need to take more insulin. But you absolutely do not have to. Movement in itself can be enough to help lower your blood sugar. I know some people who don't take very much insulin at all, and if they notice their blood sugar going up a little bit, they'll just go for a walk and it will come back down. And so thankfully, because of our long-lasting insulin or our basal insulin, because we have that on board throughout the day, that should help bring it back down with solely movement, which is great. And I also think another really great way just to manage blood sugars in general is movement and exercise, going for walks, going for runs, doing a dance workout in your kitchen or whatever the case may be. It is a great way to just manage your blood sugar throughout the day, let alone, help bring it down when you do have a high blood sugar. If you follow me on Instagram at type1.tribe, I did post a funny reel recently about what to do when you have a high blood sugar. And it was a video of me seeing that I had a high blood sugar on my watch through the Dexcom app, and me moving around and jumping in circles and doing jumping jacks and that sort of thing. And that is a real thing that happens amongst us type 1 diabetics is we know that if we kick our movement in with the insulin, it will help bring our blood sugar down faster. So once again, these can be acted as separate. You can take insulin and then you can move, or you can combine them, which is what I like to do. It does tend to help your blood sugar come down quicker. And so, move around, dance around. I mean, you can ask my husband. He always makes fun of me because he'll know when I have a high blood sugar because we'll just be like sitting on the couch and I'll just get up and start doing jumping jacks. And now he knows that I have a high blood sugar when I'm doing that. But it is funny because I'll just start doing it out of nowhere and he kind of just looks at me and laughs, and that's about it. Because, we got to do what we got to do as type 1 diabetics to bring our blood sugar back down. Number 3 is to drink more water. So when you have a high blood sugar, water will absolutely help bring it down. Now, this is important because I don't ever actually see water in itself help bring my blood sugar down with no other solutions. So I drink water along with the insulin or the movement. I don't solely drink water to bring down my blood sugar. Some other people may have different experiences with that, where water will bring it down alone for them. However, if I drink water while also taking more insulin to bring down my blood sugar, that seems to work great for me. Or if I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go move and I'm also gonna chuck some water, that also is just a great way to bring down your blood sugar. So just remember to hydrate. And this is not even if you have a high blood sugar. Us as type 1 diabetics, we are at a higher risk for dehydration because our blood sugar is kind of all over the place, right? We're not like staying within a 20-minute little mark like the rest of the world. And so we do experience more dehydration. We do need more water than the average person. And so make sure to hydrate all day long, but especially when you have a high blood sugar, because you know what it feels like. We get really thirsty if we have a high blood sugar. So hydrate, drink more water, and I would like to pair it with either more insulin, movement, or both. You can do all 3 of them together, and it's a great way to bring down your blood sugar. Number 4 is probably the most annoying, and it's patience. You have to have patience when you have a high blood sugar and you're waiting for it to come down. And honestly, me saying this to you guys is also me telling myself, because I am not very good at being patient when I have a high blood sugar. I definitely have a fear of a high blood sugar. I don't know why, but I really just don't like having them. And I think it's because of the time it takes to bring it back down. It just really frustrates me that it takes so long. And I know there's ways out there. A lot of people say like Afrezza is a new cool like inhaler insulin that will help bring it down even faster, like within 30 minutes, but I don't have that tool. I just have my MDI Humalog insulin that I use to bring down my blood sugar, and it's, it can stay high for a decent amount of time after taking insulin and even after movement. So it really just depends on what I ate and how long that will take to bring it down. So for example, if I eat something very high processed, like some tortilla chips, which is usually my guilty high blood sugar food, it takes a while for that to come back down. Why? Because it's super processed and it's super high carb and it's just, like corn tortilla chips with nothing else in it. And so when I eat a lot of those, like if I go to a Mexican restaurant and I just forget that I'm a type 1 diabetic and I eat all the corn chips in the world, my blood sugar tends to go to, let's say, 230. It's going to sit at 230 for a while, even if I take insulin, even if I move, even if I chug water, because it's just a high processed, high carb meal and I'm experiencing insulin resistance. And so that is what a high blood sugar is, insulin resistance. Basically, your body's trying to lower it, but it's kind of like fighting, it's like a wall and it's like pushing. It's like, no, I don't want to lower. That's what happens. And so patience is really, really important when you have a high blood sugar, so you don't keep stacking your insulin. And you don't want to stack insulin because eventually you will come down and you will come down fast. And I am also guilty of rage bolusing. I am a big rage boluser, and this is not a brag. I wish I wasn't, but I get so anxious when I have a high blood sugar. And so I have to remember that I need to be patient, and I have to remember that it's going to take 2-3 hours for my blood sugar to come down when it's high, even after I took insulin, even after I moved, even after I drank water. Now that's, of course, once again, not always the case. Like if I were to eat an apple and it happens to go high because there's just, the sugar content and carb content in an apple, that's going to come down a lot faster than a high blood sugar from my corn tortilla chips. So it kind of just depends on what you're eating. But once again, over time, because now I've been a diabetic for almost 4 years, I just know what's going to take longer and what's not. And a lot of times when I'm going to have a high blood sugar, it's because of tortilla chips, because I just love tortilla chips, you guys. And so I know that if I'm at 220, it's going to take a while for it to come down. But sometimes I get caught rage bolusing, like I think it's going to change. But anyway, patience, guys. Patience. When you have a high blood sugar, it will eventually come down. Of course, if it doesn't for whatever reason, always call your doctor, always like go to the ER or whatever the case may be. You don't want to be like sitting at like 700 for over 24 hours. So keep that in mind too. If it's not coming down, maybe call your doctor, but it should come down eventually if you're taking all these actions, right? If you're taking more insulin, if you're moving, if you're drinking your water. And then just, of course, being patient. So those are my 4 tips for you to bring a high blood sugar back down to normal range once we have them. And you will have them. It's just how it works, unfortunately, in this day and age as a type 1 diabetic. High blood sugars are just a common occurrence. So you have to know the tools, and you got to have the right tools in your toolbox to bring your blood sugar back down to normal range so we can stay healthy and have a good A1C, right? Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. Let me know if you have any other fun tricks to bring down your high blood sugar, and I will see you all next week. Bye. Are you looking to lower your A1C, stay in range more often, and just have better health overall? If so, you're going to want to check out my ebook below. It is linked there. It is an ebook full of information for a type 1 diabetic, a type 2 diabetic, somebody with gestational diabetes even. It's just a good way to figure out how to have more balanced meals, do the right exercises, have, the right recipes in place, and all of the above. So go ahead and check that out below. You're not going to want to miss it. It's a great thing to have on hand when you have questions about diabetes and blood sugar. So go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.